Hi everyone, I'm Phil Valentine. Been in recovery since December 28th, 1987. So working on year 39 of being in recovery. It's unbelievable for me to say that. I mean, Sandy and I are both now officially retired, although we tend to find ourselves going to conferences and doing things online and training recovery coaches. And one of the great things that we found really rewarding is for the last 7 months we've re-immersed ourselves in the 12-step AA community here in Warwick, Rhode Island. And I go to a meeting just about every day and have found just amazing people and connections. And I still believe that, what Gabor Mate says, the opposite of addiction is connection. And I think that's really true. Maybe it wasn't Gabor Mate. I don't know who said that first. But anyway, do you know Stephanie?
Oh, yeah. So it was Johann Hari.
Yeah, Johan
Yeah.
Hari, that's it. The
Yeah.
other one with a weird name.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And they're
Okay, good.
friends. No.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, wasn't too far off, but yes. So being connected has really been a real bonus and blessing. And Sandy's not here, but I've seen her light up. I mean, she walks into this early bird meeting and people are shaking her hand and she's smiling and chatting with people and having coffee with ladies and sponsoring ladies and taking them through the steps. And wow, talk about wow, that's a whole pathway of recovery that's kind of reemerged for us. Our first 15 years together, we spent a lot of time in AA. Then we ended up having 4 kids and big, busy careers and coaching. And then now that we're retired, we have the time to go back and just absolutely love it. So we're doing a coaching, and I retired October 4th, 2024 was my last day at CCAR. And I'm sitting in a little 1,100 square foot house on the water in Warwick, Rhode Island, on Narragansett Bay. And last week we had all our kids here and lots of fishing and golf and parks and just great family time. So life is good. And we're doing coaching for coaches today. And the title we have tentatively put on this, but the conversation can go lots of different ways, is buttons, buttons. And I'm interested in if some of you would like to introduce yourselves, your name, where you are sitting, and the type of person or characteristics of a person you have difficulty communicating with. So, who would like to go first? I can start though. Okay, go ahead, Joan. Well, you gotta unmute yourself, Joan.
Hi, I'm Joan. Uh, those that yes you and shake their head and say yeah. I have difficulty communicating, I guess, with others that don't communicate. That yes you and don't show their feelings or how they feel.
Hmm.
It's a very difficult because I'm very expressive and I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I have to understand, but
Hmm.
it's hard.
Okay, where are you sitting?
I'm sitting in our family room
In
on my
what
couch.
town? In what town and state?
Oh, I'm in Stamford, Connecticut.
There you go. Thank you.
That's
So
near
someone,
New Canaan.
so they're yesing you, but they don't mean it, is what you're saying. Gotcha. Anybody else? Thank you, Joan. Stephanie.
Sure. Hi, I'm Stephanie Hazard. I'm a recovery coach, and I also work as a companion for both substance use disorder and eating disorders. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm sitting in Newport, Rhode Island. Uh,
Ooh.
I'm visiting my mother who lives here, who actually is in hospice. And
Mhm.
we've got some great caregiver coverage, but my sibling, my older brother, and I sort of rotate. So I'm
Hmm.
here for about 10 days. Um, but I live in New Canaan, Connecticut. So I would say that people that I have the most difficulty with are people who I feel uh, are like it just comes across as um, stone silence when people shut down, and it feels like, for me, it feels like sort of that silent scorn or disapproval,
Ooh.
and that is, you know, a childhood wound for sure. And
Hmm.
so that I feel uneasy. I start wanting to kind of people please and fawn and make them like me again because I don't think they like me. So it's that stone. It's a persona, or not persona, but it's like a just it's stone silence that activates me.
Uh, so what would it like you would ask a question and that you get no reply?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. Um, Not just like a stoic, thoughtful type of person, someone that's just kind of like,
No, that's different.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Like, name where you are sitting and describe a person you have difficulty communicating with. We had one that's the silence, stone silence, spurning, and the other one that's, well, I have a good memory. So what did you say, Joan?
People that
Oh,
just
yeah, the yes
yes,
man, the yes man. I got it.
the
Yeah, yeah,
yes. Okay, agree.
yes, yes.
I'm
I
not really.
agree. I agree. I don't believe you, but I agree. Who else would like to go? Zach, Zachary.
Hey, how's it going? Um, I'm Zach. I am a grateful recovering addict, and I am sitting in Haddam, Connecticut, here at Paramount Wellness Retreat. I I would say like people that I have a hard time communicating when people are not being when they're not being genuine, and when it's like when they're trying to when they're uh trying to prove a point, or like acting for attention, things like that. I kind of
Jeez.
have a difficult time with that.
I don't know what happened, but I think something just really slammed. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh,
What's that? The front door? Oh, okay. Bye. Whew. Just the front door. Sandy came home and the wind blew the door closed. Boom. Takes a lot to make the house rattle. Wow, like what? So the liar, Zachary. You don't like the people
Yeah,
that's lying to you.
well, I mean,
Okay.
and I could take a lie. That's fine. You could lie to me, but when it's like really like for show, and it gets a little difficult for me.
Gotcha. Thank you. Anybody else? Thanks, Rachel.
Good morning, good afternoon. Rachel Bongothi here. I am in the beautiful Pacific Northwest,
oh,
Wow.
specifically
wow.
the gateway to the North Cascades in Cedar Woolley,
Oh,
Washington.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it's early. It's early here. Um, for me, the person that I find it difficult to communicate with, um, I call them ask holes. The person who asks questions. And like for me, if someone asks me a question, I'm thoughtful about it. I'm gonna give them the most knowledgeable um, answer that I have, especially if it's something specific. And before I can even get out to my thoughtful answer, they'll either cut me off, talk over me, ask me something completely different than what the first thing that was asked. And then they circle back around and ask me the first original question again.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
Cool,
Thank you.
cool. Yep.
Michael, you're gonna have to participate too in all this because we need to keep the numbers up here. Need lots of opinions.
So I grew up with a few individuals that will hype you up, right? And then once the heat of the moment comes, they're not even there. They won't show up. So for instance, I have my cousin, he would be like, yeah, he'll invite us somewhere. He will get us psyched up that we're going. Yeah, we're going to go tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. At this time, I'm gonna pick you guys up. And he had the car, so we were like waiting for him, and then all of a sudden, no show.
Hmm.
No, none, like never shows up. And you like no call, nothing. And we would always be like, I would prefer that person just be like, you know what? I can't make it. I'm not gonna be able to make it today.
Of course.
Right? Instead of like 3 days later, we see the person and the person just has no excuse and why they didn't show up. It's like those type of individuals that used to just, oh,
Gotcha.
your word,
Uh,
keep your word.
so another one of being deceived a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, for me, and I just had this experience recently. Somebody asked me got referred by a family member to call me for some recovery coaching, and this person basically had no desire to stop drinking, or complete apathy. So I don't know what I still don't know what to do with apathy when they just don't care. They don't want to do it. So I'm very open to suggestions with that one too about what to do with apathy and like, yeah, that's the one I find most difficult to work with. Um, I think Sandy and I were talking about someone recently in AA that asked Sandy to be her temporary sponsor, and this person consistently drinks on the weekend. So the question is, what's required for membership is a desire to stop drinking. Do you have a desire? Do you want to stop, right? Do you have a desire to stop? That would be the starting point, I think. It's not that she's drinking, but do you have the desire to drink? It's to stop drinking. So, hi Priscilla, how are you?
Hi, I'm grateful. Thank you for letting me come. I had an issue with my screen, my what do you call it, external monitor. So
You
I
look
can't
like
even.
you look like a ghost out
I
there. You
know
look
I tried to move into
ethereal.
I tried to move into a different room with the curtain, but
Oh, you're
um,
fine.
I'm just rolling with it because I can't see the buttons where I can raise my hand or anything.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, and then I just got the email and it said June or something, come to coaching with coaching, but it said
Yeah.
come now. So I went, okay, I'm coming.
All right.
So anyway, I am Priscilla Schaefer, and I am in West Michigan, exactly Spring Lake. So I don't know if you can see my little hand, but I'm over here by Lake
Hmm.
Michigan. But that's a
Hmm.
Michigan. We get to use our little hand. We have this and this, the rabbit, but I'm over here. And the question is, say it again.
A person, the characteristics of a person you have difficulty communicating with.
Oh, I'll be like, oh, I just had one, and I'll express it as discreet as possible because we're recorded.
Yep.
Persons that go from 0 to 100.
Oh.
So we get recovery, whatever that means, and then they're the president of recovery, and it's and they
The
do no
president
wrong
of
or don't
recovery.
accept to do no wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually had uh, a brief conversation with Michael the other day, um, and I'm not going to say anything because it's recorded. So anyway, let's just
Mm.
say persons who forget to check their ego at the door, whether it's the virtual door or the in-person door, and whatever that means is like all I can say is, Priscilla, don't do it too.
Would you say is it ego or arrogance is the trait? What would it be?
Arrogance, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think arrogance because I think that I don't know what to think because I'll be like giving my personal opinion and judging. I just watch people that,
You're not judging, you're assessing.
oh, I'm assessing. Ah, there, I'm assessing. I'm assessing people who got, and my apologies, this light is so bad here.
You're fine. We can see okay.
Not really, because I like the big screen.
Uh,
As you get older, you need a bigger screen, or I do. Anyway,
mhm.
so I'll roll with it this way. So that accept no responsibility, do no wrong, and I don't know.
Okay.
I just think that the best I can do is how do you say, be mindful of pen to paper or text to text, or
Hmm.
don't email my personal real opinions. So I have to stay in my lane,
Yeah.
and if somehow, if some of these things are illegal, I just like this.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
So
anyway, yeah, I'm good.
we all gave an answer, right? That and these are me just summarizing, like some of the traits that we have difficulty communicating with: stone silence, the yes person, lying or being deceitful, the assholes. I'm gonna use that, the assholes. Yeah, the ones that are like the hype and the apathy and the arrogant. What so we're talking about buttons, right? And we also learned in the Recovery Coach Academy some of those that was a long time ago, but I got to train it earlier this month again, did 5 days of it, and we learned about bias, and it's natural to have an affinity, more of an affinity for some people more than others, right? And I think the reverse is true. We tend to have a dislike for some people more than others. And I always, when I have difficulty communicating with someone, and I can get around some of these things being somewhat experienced, but I still feel things, and um, I have to look at what buttons are being pushed, you know? I think and I'm going to ask you, what buttons are being pushed in me? Why do I have what emotional response? Stephanie, you touched on it when you talked about yours, but what emotional responses are in me? And so I'm a coach at heart. I knew that. And the number one thing I wanted from my players when I was coaching kids was not, it was just effort. I wanted people to try more than anything. If you're not trying as a kid playing the sport, I would ask the kid, is this the right sport for you? I would ask the parents, do you have the kid in the right sport? He's not trying, or she's not trying at all. It's obviously to me, they don't like this game. They don't like this sport. So why are they here? And I would have those conversations. So when I think of apathy, that's someone not even trying. And so, but I still haven't got to the point why that bothers me so much when people don't want to try. I guess maybe it's, I guess maybe it's, I have some ego that I want them to try, that if I'm going to put in the effort to coach, that they have to try too. So maybe it hurts. Maybe it hurts me that they don't, or a lack of respect. I see. I like to talk about things I most need to know, so I'm got to kind of dive into that. Anybody have any insights on the one you picked? Why that bugs you so much? What's the little trigger, or what's going on inside of you that bugs you? Priscilla.
Oh, I gotta say that was just a person. It wasn't anyone I coached.
Uh-huh.
I go,
Yeah,
just a
okay.
person. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a person, an encounter recently that, but in the years that I used to be a recovery coach in a court program, and people, yes, volunteered to be there, and I would too. I would too. My choices
Hmm.
are, volunteer to participate in a program as alternative to, jail or other incarceration. So, I guess I don't know if you call it a quality for me. I learned to roll with it. That I know I would dot the I's and cross the T's and do what I had to do. I was just another person and something else they had to do. And I'm a believer that recovery coaching should be voluntary. And then, of course, the programs, when people sign up, this is an additional voluntary thing that you volunteer to participate in seeing the recovery coach. So I never say, hey, will you volunteer to be here? I've learned a lot, and I'll give you, Phil and Michael, some and Travis, some kudos along the way, things I've learned in this group, and the other group that I partake in sometimes is to meet someone where they're at. This is your time. And if it's, if I get it, so while you're here, how can I help you with your recovery? And if you don't need anything and you have to spend a half hour, Priscilla, it might be we sit and listen to music. So, whether that's, I'm not there to fix anybody. I'm just there to, you know, uh, help somebody with their life. And I get we did wrong in life, but, reality is, if it is truly voluntarily, is it truly voluntary? And now that just depends. So I just say, I understand your situation, but while you're here, is there anything I can assist you with? And if it's just listening to you express yourself, is how I call it. It's a nice way to say to express themselves. We can do it in moderation without loud vocal tones. And so, I don't know if that's made me a more empathetic coach. It's understanding. So I don't have any negative past experiences from persons I was in service with. So
You got me thinking about that, Priscilla. I think for me, now that being retired, now I think I'm like a coach all the time. So I don't, that's kind of who I am. So I have to think about, do I have the luxury of separating like an official coaching session with a normal interaction day to day? You know, because there are people that irritate me but I let it go. But when people, yeah, I have to think about it. Thank you for all that. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Guys, good morning. My name is Susan D. Almeida. I'm the lead recovery support specialist, RCP, CHW at Connecticut Institute.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the lead for the MAP program here. We're going to be running. One of the things that irks me, I'm going to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
is doctors who don't understand the disease of addiction. So
Oh.
then I take it to a different level. I'm like, okay, let me educate you on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just because you have an MD next to your name, that's not how you go about to help somebody who has issue of addiction. So I've had to, let's just say, I am a little spicy because I'm Dominican married to a Brazilian,
Uh-huh.
and I've had to just educate. Let me educate you on this.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't, it is a disease. But let me educate you how to go about this to help these patients.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just because they have an MD next to their name, they don't know how to go about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like you got to meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Back to just my basic skills. But that's it.
But why does that bug you so personally that they're not educated?
I guess because the way they come across to treat somebody
Oh,
who has
so it's kind of
exactly.
like
And then I'm like, hold on. I said, I'm a woman in recovery.
mm-hmm.
Let's back up a little.
Yeah.
It's just, you're true addict. And I'm like, back up.
Mm-hmm.
This is where
Gotcha.
they're at. You got to meet them, But I
Yeah.
have to just remind myself it's all about educating people, especially,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter if they have an MD next to their name. It's about
Yeah.
educating them how to go about this and how to help the patient,
Well, some of them don't want to be educated about it either, which is also difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm at a good point that they understand me now. I've been
Mm-hmm.
at this position a couple months and they're like, oh, okay, so you do know. I said, yes, you gotta, it's how you go about it, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Good for you.
It's not just,
I'm glad you're where you're at. So
yeah,
thank you
me
for
too,
coming
to be
on.
honest. I took a
Yeah.
leap of faith.
There you
I took
go.
a leap of faith when I took this and I was like, okay.
Good. Thank you. Stephanie.
Sure. Um, let's see. I'm just trying to figure out how to put my lower hand. Okay, so I think what gets, as I use the word activation, I think what gets activated for me is the feeling of rejection.
Mm,
So when somebody is silent, and also there's a subset of this thing that these traits or something, and I don't know if this is a character trait truly, but it's like a adjacent, and that's when people ghost me when we're in a coaching relationship and where I'm doing daily check-ins where trying to chase somebody for a session and they just go radio silent. And I try not to overdo. And I've had supervision on this where sometimes to get somebody to re-engage with you, maybe you're sending a quote or a picture or it's intermittent touching, but sometimes I'm truly worried about them. Like you get worried, like, oh my God, maybe there's a recurrence. So it's tricky the when somebody ghosts you or stops communicating with you. But back to the silent, I think this is it. I just identified it for myself. It's a silent treatment. And
hmm.
the reason why that's activating is because that's what was dished up in my home of origin.
Oh, that's deep.
Yes, yes. And typically those buttons, Phil, when in our training, of course, there's a whole section on managing your own stuff.
Mm, yeah, the whole training is, yeah.
It's so this is stuff. So if
Mhm.
when I find I have the strongest reaction to something or get hooked the most, it's typically something that needs me within me that needs more attention or attuning. And
Well
and
said.
and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody appreciates the silent treatment. Yeah, I don't know if they would even label it abuse, but it's not good. I don't like that either. Um, the part about, let me just ask you, oh, go ahead. We'll come back to it. Zachary, go ahead. Thank you,
Sure.
Stephanie.
Uh, so, just real quick before I lose that thought, it kind of is abuse, right? And I get that because, like, I think about how I can shut down, right? Sometimes I can shut down with like my family if I'm like, and when I shut down, I'm not giving like my partner or my children the attention and the care that they need. That was just a thought that I thought of.
Mhm.
Thank you. Um, I would say though, for the one that I shared, like, it's, uh, I like what, I think Stephanie said about how, like something's activated in you, right? And, I think, when I see people with like this, uh, grandiose, grandiosity or, like grandiose, aura and like, uh, I know that it's not authentic or I have a hard time because I like genuinely struggled with this my whole life, right? And so like it is a sore spot for me, right? Because it took just so much for me to get where I'm at today, and I want to be able to share that with other people, and it can be um diluting
Did
too.
you personally struggle with grandiosity?
Uh, me acting in that way
Yeah.
when I was younger. Yeah, yeah.
So why is it,
Probably.
I'm just trying to get at why that bothers you so much.
Um, I don't know. Maybe because I know now what's behind it. And I guess there was a time when I thought it was just a way to be, right, and I don't know. But now, right, you could look at some of my actions and some of the things that I do and say that I'm acting grandiose or like whatever, like, but it is genuine, and it's it's the way that I'm able to live my life and recover and function, right? Um, and I know what's behind it. What's behind it is all the work that I put in and all the connections I make and uh, you know all the things that I do. Um, though I know what goes behind it. So
Okay.
just that.
I think when, at least when working with people when they're grandiose, that's a tremendous opportunity to ask some good questions and just, kind of reflect back what are you really saying right here, So it's yeah. So thank you for that. Um, Anybody else? Yeah, Joan, you're still muted.
There we go. Hi.
Mm-mm.
Um, First of all, I love meeting people where they are. That's like, but getting back to why I really have a problem that almost don't validate your feelings. To me, when somebody just yeses me, it's just because. And the problem is I know where it comes
Oh.
from. I know exactly where it comes from, and I can kind of check myself on it. But I grew up in one of 8 children,
Yeah.
and um, a mother who gave the silent treatment, and a dad who just, speak what you want, but never really validated. It was say what you want, but don't rock the boat. And your feelings were never really validated. It was like all talk and no real, I get you. Um, so for me, when somebody just sits, it's almost like I have to stop and say, okay, am I saying too much? Should I back off? Should I not speak? Should I? It's a very tough thing for me because my life I spent, fighting for time. And
Hmm.
I've 7 sisters, and you can imagine. And that's where it comes from. And I guess I really work at getting, I don't know what I work at, but I just know it's something that with other people, especially coaching, and I have to be aware of. I have to be so aware.
Yeah, I
Um,
got you grew up with one of 8 sisters?
there's 7 girls, one brother.
I don't, I don't even know what to make of that, but
Yeah,
anyway.
one brother, and we're all like one year after
Wow.
another. So
So
it's all
when you
good
say
there.
that, I wrote down words like being dismissed, not recognized, and even sometimes like abandoned, which are always big ones in
Huge.
a lot of recovering people's stories, certainly in mine. Um, When you say my feelings weren't validated, my question for you is, what do you mean by validated? What is it you're looking for?
You're right.
I'm just,
I don't. Um, yeah, I love others' opinions, but yeah, I think that's the problem. You're right.
no,
Um,
I'm genuinely
I'm
curious
thinking
about,
myself, uh, just yeah, and then somebody else saying, giving something to where we connect.
right.
Yeah, the connection.
I think what we learn in the Recovery Coach Academy too is when we're actively listening. And I think well, one of the motivational interviewing technique, expressing empathy,
Yeah.
is to uh, it's really just to be heard, right? You're looking to be heard and
I'll be
say,
heard.
it sounds like you're afraid, or sounds like that was a very frightening situation, just
Mm.
to be validated that I can relate to that, what you're feeling. Yeah, it's not real rocket science, but the deeper question, which you touched on, I saw you touch on it, is why is that so important to me? Why is that important? And
Mm.
um, I think we all need that part of the connection, but why is that the one that's so important to me? Anybody else have any other thoughts? Michael, what are you thinking through all this?
I'm just the things that we discover, right? Because we don't, there's a lot of things that when I was in the emergency department and things would happen right there in my face. And I would say to myself, man, if I was not trained, I would react to this a lot different. Well, I've told
Mm-mm.
you like stories of like of feeling like if I would have reacted a certain way, I would have came out of the hospital in handcuffs. Right? Because there was certain things that happened that I would be like, whoa. And it would be stuff that I had to discover right there and then.
Hmm.
Buttons were being pushed right there. And it's like,
Hmm.
and it was like, it felt like somebody, like a little kid that did something and it was like, nah, 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 you can't catch me. And it's like, ugh, you want to just chase the kid. But it's like, I said always, I'm thankful to be able to take these trainings, and then I'm the type of person to say I want to see if this thing really works, right? And I'm kind of like Phil too. I like to provoke people, right? And to see if yeah, let's see if this works. Let's see if this thing really works, right? So I always thought about that. Like if I would have not been trained, right? If I would have not even learned about discovering and managing my stuff and what that really means, I would have definitely lost my job, ca- got arrested, right? For putting my hands on somebody because even a doctor, right? Where a doctor comes up and goes, get this frequent flyer out of my room.
Hmm.
Right in my face. And I'm like, this dude. Like, I'm close enough to just grab you like that, but I know I got to discover and manage my
Close enough
stuff.
just to grab you
Yeah,
like
yeah, right.
that. Well,
Discover and manage my
you've also had, even in your work life at CCAR, you've had a period where you were struggling with emotionally and your role and all that, and
yeah,
seems like you were able to work through it and discover your role and make peace with it. I think
yeah.
that's the process of recovery in a lot of ways.
But I think it has to do with value too, though, right? Because if
Yeah,
you value something, you just turn away and walk away from it. But if you
right.
value something, you protect it, you clean it after you
Hmm.
play with it, right? Or you got tools. You ever had tools like hammers and screwdrivers and just keep using it and don't like clean them, and then they just get rusted. They just fade away. But if you take care of them, you value something, you take care of it, right? And you do whatever you can to protect it.
Yeah, I just took care of all my fishing rods yesterday.
There you go.
I did. I'm not kidding. Who is the person that can still push your buttons and why? Or people? Anybody actively do that to you, and who and why?
My husband,
Okay, why?
he's too agreeable.
How dare he be
I
so agreeable? All right. And
know.
what's the button that he pushes?
Uh, he says a lot. Will say, "We'll figure it out." I know it's a
Okay.
long, but we'll figure it out. And I'm like,
You wanted to figure it out then.
then,
I
then.
gotcha. Okay. Priscilla, who still pushes your buttons?
I
I pushed the button down. I was like, I forget sometimes this is recorded. So I know if it
Uh,
wasn't recorded, I could be much more open to sharing. I know. But I just leave it as a nice way to say it is people that can still push my buttons are those people. And Zachary said a great word, the grandiose, the people that don't recognize their own managed stuff. And I can point my finger and point out their character defects, right? So I have to take back a look at myself. What is it about them? But and back to what Michael said, over the years, managing my own stuff. So I have learned not to react to people. So the best thing is not to reply and just be mindful. And if there's things that I don't like on social media or certain people that do things that I'm powerless over, I just block them. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see
mhm,
and I'll just be real. I don't want to see social injustice. I don't want to
mhm,
see discrimination. I don't want to see people who judge others especially in the world that we help, that um, and if you people that are the fixers who say they're the fixing, instead of me reacting, I just do this. If I'm on a video call, I just do this,
mhm.
and
And mute yourself so we can't hear you.
so I call it playing nice in the sandbox, you know,
Yeah.
and share things when I want to share things, and sometimes it's just to be mindful with myself, if I express myself vocally, what is that going to get me?
Hmm.
Sometimes, but sometimes I go, if I'm not a voice for others, and here's an example: medication assisted recovery, medication assisted treatment, whatever words we want to call it. I'm absolutely an advocate for it. But my mind says, do we all need it? So I listened, I went to listen. Do I have time?
Of
Yes?
course you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went the other night to a faith-based organization. I took a lady friend with me and we went and listened. They had a nice dinner and someone shared their testimony as opposed to sharing stories or whatever.
Mhm.
So, it's not my norm, but I'm open-minded. I'll go anywhere. But what I heard this person say, and person said I could say it and will never use names. What happened to this person, he said he got caught up in the Suboxone trap house. And I was like, afterwards, I guess I still am coaching. And I said, tell me more about that.
Mhm.
And he said, that he met this person, da da da. They got him on the computer, they signed him up, and he couldn't get out of it. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh. So, when I just said, tell me more about that, what you're willing to share. But, some of the things that I don't know if it's disappoint me is the money. Cha-ching,
Mhm.
cha-ching, cha-ching. So, in a nutshell is like, yes, I'm an advocate for people to medication saves lives, but when it's appropriate. But again, I'm not a doctor or a nurse, but
Right.
I did listen to this person share about his view on what happened to him with getting into that. And anyway, that it just was like it made me revisit because like I said, I don't advocate one way or another for anything, but I am a listener.
Mhm. Well, that just reminds me that it's not the problem with the medications. It's always been how it's been administered. Always. Methadone is by far the best, most effective treatment for opiate addiction or heroin addiction, yet, but it was never initially designed for people to stay on it for the rest of their lives, but that's not according to most methadone clinics. You run out of money, they taper you in 5 days. If you have money, they taper you in 6 months. It's kind of just like one of those weird things that happens out there. And you're right, it's the money driven part of it. Um, Back in, my parents were passed in 2022. They were 40, they had been divorced for over 40 years, and they died within 48 hours of each other. Um, I would say my dad and I came to some resolution, but my mom was the last great person to push my buttons by far. And the last 10 years of her life, she was in a lot of physical pain. And she would, I would call her and she'd go, "Oh, it's nice to hear from my only son." And I would be like, and she would push my button like, but I started to learn how to deal with it. And I said, "I'm glad you still want to hear from me, Mom. How are you?" And I would loosen her up, and then she'd get loving and kind and warm. But her first reactions were often bitter, and she knew what to say to hurt me. And I was sharing this somewhere, and I don't remember exactly where it was, but somebody replied. They said, "Well, your mother can push your buttons because she installed them." And she knows exactly where they are. And I started to think about that. Oh, so I didn't, I kind of built some resilience around her barbs, and I think what I found as my last great place where buttons were pushed, Priscilla was talking about it, was social media. So I got off of social media. It's just like people are way meaner, say things they would never say in person. That just people to be calm and hopefully rational. They say volatile and hurtful things on social media, and I just go, I think we don't need to be friends on social media anymore, and I don't think I need to be on it this much. Uh, 15 minutes a day tops, and I like to see videos like what my daughter posted about our family reunion and stuff like that on Instagram. So, but that's why I'm there. Um, Anybody else, any other thoughts about who pushes your buttons and what they are and if you, as you're thinking about it?
Me, uh, button pushing seems to be the favorite pastime of my friend group.
No kidding.
Easy mark. And it's it's a love language, I guess you could say, but it is a daily. They have taken a daily task of it's amusing to push my buttons to get my feathers ruffled. And it's also a good reminder for me because it'll take me a minute to realize that they're messing with me until I've already like reached my point.
Taking the bait.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I take the line and you would think that I would get accustomed to it after so many years, but nope, I fall for it daily. Um, so they know me well on what to do and what to say to just to get a reaction out of me, and it's also a good reminder to you um, to be easygoing and to not take things so seriously all the time because I
Mhm.
will get worked up. And in like a negative way, but just in a way all the same. So um which is one of those things that I value and appreciate. And then also it just is a constant reminder that things aren't that serious. I don't have to take everything literally, and I don't have to get so emotionally invested in things that don't actually really matter.
Can I ask you a question? Rachel, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you appreciate it, or would you appreciate it more if there was a different type of interaction between you and your friend group?
Um I I I both. It's not.
Okay, fair enough. And you don't have to respond to that, but maybe as a coach, you could ask or let people let your feelings be known and maybe give them a suggestion what you would appreciate more. Maybe. Okay. Um, and this kind of is the segue. We talked about buttons being pushed as negative oftentimes, right? Stirring, and are emotions negative and positive? I think we kind of label them that way. I'm kind of like, I'm trying to get to the point where an emotion is just an emotion and not put a negative or a positive. There are some that I like to experience more than others, for sure. Um, um, are there are there buttons that you have that are more positive, and what do those look like, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Or you could go back. You had another thought too before that, so whatever you'd like to share.
Sure, sure. It's actually I'm currently in residence with two people who still push my buttons.
Uh,
So that's my mother and my older brother, right? So
mhm,
there's that. What you just said, Phil, was so interesting because if buttons or emotions, if I could ever get to the place where all emotions are welcome, not good or bad, but they
mhm,
all carry information,
mhm,
you know? So what are you here to tell me? What can I hold space for and learn more about? So that's like advanced surfing, emotion surfing, I think.
mhm,
I feel like that's like master level emotion surfing.
mhm,
But for me, certainly a button and something painful that can get activated, my experience has been that that can actually move me and the other person to a better place, a more intimate place, a place of deeper understanding. So on
yeah.
the surface, what looks like something like you were just, painful.
Mhm,
And I had this happen just a couple of weeks ago with one of the people I just mentioned. It opened up a greater conversation between us,
mhm,
a bigger, broader conversation.
mhm,
So, um, but it is so true, right? And I think the heart of my experience of addiction is and Gabor Mate does, I mean, we're all just wanting to feel better, right? We're reaching for something to feel better.
mhm,
And there's some emotions that I don't have any problem feeling because they feel good.
mhm,
But it's the ones that don't feel good. Certainly when I feel fearful or intimidated or rejected or banned, like those guys. So picking up a drink or diving into the peanut M&Ms, I mean, those guys are guys. So understand, welcoming and understanding that those painful feelings or feelings I may or buttons I could actually hold some really valuable information is a really different way. And I think getting curious about the buttons opens up the aperture on what I'm willing to hang out with.
yeah, yeah.
So the curiosity, like, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but let me just stay curious about this because I
Mhm,
wonder if there's some information here. So I
mhm.
don't know if that was helpful, but
It is, and then you take that information, and the next spot to that um, is like the intellect over emotion. How do I respond?
yeah,
You know, what's the best response here?
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the next right thing to do, considering this emotion, right? The other recovery principle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good.
Zachary.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I think that's the goal, right? Is to see my emotions as information and like learn to welcome the more painful or uncomfortable feelings. And Stephanie just mentioned one way to do that is to get curious. For me, that works very well.
Mm-hmm.
When I get curious about my anything, it helps. But my emotions, it'll I gotta ask, like, I have to physically like make myself get curious though. Like I have to actually ask myself questions and like really get into it or else I won't. Because they're painful and they're uncomfortable, right? That's like I don't want to feel those. We've all established that. Um and then I just wanted to touch on like the positive and negative buttons. Yeah, I think that's a really cool flip side view to that because uh, you know, and I'll use a specific example right now. My partner and I, we're as always we're on a journey of growth, and uh, we push each other's buttons in both those negative and positive ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really cool. That's great information to be able to look at it like that because uh, I've been kind of circling that idea for a little while now, right? Because we know we push each other's buttons in negative ways. We, and if we get part of it, it's because we care, right? And we want the best for each other and for our family. So, but then when we push each other's buttons in a positive way, it's like infectious and it spreads and it helps inspire more curiosity and you know I think that's really it's just a beautiful thing. So I think it's cool. I'm gonna try to like work on that flip side of
Mm-hmm.
but if I'm pushing people's buttons positively, they're probably gonna maybe return that energy too.
Right. I think when I think about it, when I get angry and I'm and under a lot of stress, I tend to go into silent mode, and I know that well, Sandy doesn't. My wife Sandy, she does not appreciate that, and she goes into silent mode sometimes too, when she's really angry. And it might not even be at me, but it's hard to interpret, right? Um, I know for me, and when you think about positive buttons for me, that if I'm affirmed, like, I like that. I like to be um, complimented, and I also like to be encouraged. And so that's what I've tried to base a lot of my leadership style around is encouragement, complimenting people for the good work they're doing or something that I've noticed, and tried to flip that. It's part of being a positive leader, and generate and growing other leaders is to affirm the behavior or the good results or outcomes or the way they interacted with people and be specific about it. And I know for me, like I've told this story many times, but when people get hired at CCAR, I look them deep in the eyes and I tell each and every one of them, I believe in you, which is completely true because they passed the interview process, very rigorous, all of this. They were hired for a job, first day on the job. I believe in you. You're here. It's true. And I didn't hear that as a kid. I very rarely have ever heard that. And so what a simple gift to give to others is to say, I believe in you, encouragement, affirmation, a compliment, way, way better than nitpicking, micromanaging, negativity. Why the hell did you do that? What the heck is wrong with you? You know, that kind of thing. It doesn't make any sense to manage that way or live life that way. I don't want to live that way. And when I receive that, I certainly don't want to receive that either. Any thoughts on that? Go ahead, Stephanie. You were thinking about it. You're muted, so I would definitely want to hear you.
I just so sorry. I just sent a little message in the chat. My mother's lead hospice nurse is here, and
Okay,
I've
gotcha.
got to go. But I will end with that. You know, Phil, I just so appreciate you and all and being together this morning. I think very much what I can relate to is I did not have a champion growing up. And
Hmm.
so showing up as the champion, actually, that I didn't have. I think it's one of the reasons why the work
Yeah.
sparks to me so much, because I get to show up as that champion that I wish that I had. And I love that you identified sort of positive buttons coming. And yeah, you have always extended that, I felt. Whenever, I've been in trainings or whatever, the encouragement, and it's that extending all of those things in and I guess that's a little bit of a spiritual gift.
Hmm.
Yeah, we get to give what we wish we had received, and it makes me feel good, and it makes, I think, the other person, I hope, feel encouraged and in a better place. And I just thank you for that.
You're welcome. And Stephanie, you are in the right place at the right time to be a light in this situation. I believe in you, so you're in the right place. Your mother is blessed to have you.
Thanks, Phil.
You're welcome. So I was going to kind of go down this whole stretch of now we're talking about. Hello, Chad. Good to have you join us. We're talking about buttons, both positive and negative, but we're talking mostly about personal buttons that people who trigger them in us or press them or push them, and we're talking about both positive and negative ones. And I remember the times I've always been encouraged and how much I thrived on that. When you're working with a recovery as a recovery coach, tell me how this button pushing thing works when you might be the button pusher. What are you trying to do as a coach? Yeah, Zach. Do you like Zachary or Zach?
Either's fine. Honestly, I have no preference.
Okay.
Uh, so, oh, hey, Chad. Uh, I lost my train of thought when you asked me that. What was it?
I said, what? We're talking about what buttons are you trying to push with a recovery?
So yeah, that goes back to like what I was talking with my partner, right? How I've been experiencing those positive button pushings, and that's what we're trying to do. Is I want to inspire curiosity, and I want to push buttons that are going to make my recovery think, um, and get curious. So um, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Chad.
Yeah, hey, sorry I was late. I didn't realize we had a Zoom meeting today, but thank God for the email. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess as you know, I'm new to this, so I guess what I'm trying to do is get people to understand what the root of their problem is and how they can, what tools they can use in their own life to be able to help fix it. And, people, places, and things are a lot of times necessities that they people need people, so you can't, and I'm just trying to get people to understand, that it's not about where you're at, it's about where you're going. There's always something better coming around the corner, but if you keep speaking out of your mouth defeat, then you're going to walk in lack. You can't speak like that. You got to turn your words around and turn them for your good. So, there's hope for the hopeless.
Mhm.
So,
So what might be a button? How would you describe a button in a recovery? What would that look like? What's a button?
mm, I'm not sure what I guess,
Like, do you have buttons, Chad? Oh, he like muted himself. Zach, did you do that to him? Did you like mute him and cut off his video?
no,
I didn't do
that was me. I'm new to this laptop thing. Hold on, wait. Yeah. All right.
There,
Yeah.
you came back
All
to us.
right.
Good.
Yeah. But I guess a button would be for people that don't want to open up, that don't have anything going for them, and
I would say it's a topic or a question or something that triggers a strong emotional response.
okay,
That's kind of how we framed what a button is, that you
okay,
get an emotional response. So, like somebody says something in a certain way or a certain tone or a certain topic, and you have a strong emotional response to that.
oh, well, um, I guess, um,
Another way to put it, Chad, is what really pisses you off.
yeah. Well, I don't really let anything get under my skin because
Oh, is that a challenge?
yeah, I mean it could be. But
Yeah.
I know how I used to be whenever I was
Right.
doing drugs and alcohol, that I'd put a lock in a sock. I didn't care how big you were. But
Yeah.
then whenever I found Jesus Christ, he
Hmm.
picked me up out of the hospital, and now I have a peace that passes all understanding. So
Amen.
I'm able to take on life. Well, there could be a hurricane going on outside, and I wouldn't worry about it because I put my faith and trust in the one that's going to be after the hurricane.
Okay.
So, you
Well said.
know, yeah.
So when we're talking, and this is for the everybody, when we're talking about uh, what again, I'm going to ask the question again. What kind of buttons can you push in a recovery when you're as a coach? What are you looking to do?
Looking to motivate them to
Motivate them to what?
to not use and do drugs and alcohol.
Okay, so as a
Well,
recovery coach, we've assumed that they've stopped using alcohol and drugs, that they're pursuing recovery. We're not trying to get them to initiate recovery. So
Okay.
what are we motivating them to do?
To better their lives.
Amen. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad. Rachel.
Gonna add to that, we're motivating them to take those risks to move towards change.
Move towards change.
Yeah, that's good.
So, what would you find as a button to do that? Any
Enthu-
examples?
Enthusiasm, like when you're working so closely with somebody, you learn their buttons, their triggers, and things that can provoke them, uh, inspire them to
Hmm.
into moments of
Yeah.
inspiration.
So, yeah, mhm.
Vitamin D 320 and
Vitamin D 320. What was that? Um, the late great Art Woodard um, focused on this a lot when he was training the Recovery Coach Academy. You pay attention to what has heart and meaning for the recovery, because that is the key to, and once you find those, you push those, you press on that. That I think there was one time I was doing a coaching for coaches in the Bridgeport Recovery Community Center here in Connecticut. And I was noticing this young man who was new in recovery. He had a sketchbook out and he was So I started asking him questions about his art, and he lit up. I mean, just like you could see it in his posture. You could see it in his eyes. You could see the way in his face when he smiled. So I just went down that path with him in front of the whole group, and they saw recovery coaching um, at work when you find something like that. And so, how often do you do this? You know, what's the next step for you? What would you like to do with your art? Where do you think you could do that? All those kinds of questions, heart and meaning for the recovery. Um, yeah, any thoughts on that? The buttons you're trying to put. Yeah, Joan, thanks. Well, you still got to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
You got it.
I love that, what you said, because
Mhm.
to create, to bring that out in somebody is hope. It's
Yeah.
all about hope. And
Hmm.
what I have, not a difficult time, but whatever, is that when people say you can't get sober, you can't get clean for somebody else. But if your children motivate you, or someone in your life motivates you to want to be better, how can't it be somewhat, not just for them, but you find that joy in yourself. So when people say, oh, you can't do it for somebody else, I find that a little tough to kind of swallow, because clearly those people, those your children, your whatever grandchildren, give you hope, give you
Oh,
something
yeah.
positive.
Yeah. And
So
so, what, and I would say part of that is you want to be uh, clean and sober or in recovery for your kids or your grandkids. So you want to do that for yourself, but that is a motivating factor for sure. Yeah, for sure.
so when people say, oh, you can't do it for other people,
Eh,
I don't,
it's a good,
really.
so when somebody says that, it's a good opportunity to ask, what do you mean by that?
Great. Ask a question with a question. Got it.
Yeah, no, it
Thanks.
is. Like, I'm curious. What do you mean you can't get sober for or in recovery for somebody else? What does that mean to you? What's that look like?
Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you, Priscilla.
Hi, again, my apologies with this. My grandson is an IT guy, but he's at work, so so I'm foggy. I've moved like everywhere. I'm like, and the display, I'm like, I can't figure it out. So my thoughts, you're just talking about the positive emotions, and I want to pass on a compliment to a blog that Stacy Sharpen wrote recently about not making recovery coaching your pathway to your own recovery.
Hmm.
And it reinforces for me like why I come to this meeting or the other meeting for the facilitators, and why I do what I do in my personal life. This is I call this moment here, this hour, an inspiring moment to hear from other people. Like, just what emotions trigger you, or what helps you with those emotions. And then I was like thinking like, what's a good one for myself right now? And part of it is some serenity in my life, and a mini version is I've had my car is older. I have a Subaru and it's older,
Hmm.
and it was out of commission in April, and then it was out of commission in June again, and now again in July. And I haven't had a car for, I'm thinking this is day number 9. So I had the alternator replaced, and it faulted out on me 3 times where I had to have the car towed back to the shop. Anyway, I didn't get mad, so I think that's a quality that I work on. I'm like, I just roll with it. Like, I don't, I can't do some things that I wanted to do. Like I had this trip, and Michael actually knows this. I had this big trip, and I was going to Connecticut, and then boom, my car broke, right?
Ooh.
So
Hmm.
it didn't happen, but I rolled with it. And, one of those things I work on is serenity. And I said to my family, I said, if I got to live somewhere again where I never had to drive, I would be cool with that. So, when I reflect back on, am I still coaching? Yes, I'm still coaching. And in a positive way is, thinking about anyone that comes and takes one of the trainings and, and they sometimes get disappointed because the employment opportunities aren't always available. And, that's one of the things I say, well, if you did have that, or you did have those opportunities to apply, what would that look like for you? And I'm not a job recruiter or anything like that, but I just, try to encourage people to be at peace with your current situation.
Right.
And does it always work? No. I had a person the other day wanted to know why I don't have another coach training scheduled until the fall, and I need one right now. So I gave him your web address.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So serenity is a positive one, and the negative one is I think one I've already shared is and not the people that I have coached, because apparently it doesn't stay under my skin. So I'm like going, what is that right now? Sometimes, I've been people have expressed themselves even with adult vocabulary and sometimes all the things, but it's not really me, it's their situation. So
Hmm.
if I can come back years later and go, I don't have anything negative to say about any of the persons I worked with, or not the people, the experiences. So, those are things, of course, I go, a positive emotion is practicing serenity and inspiration from you folks today.
Hmm. Thank you, Priscilla. Michael, what are you thinking about?
I keep thinking about provoking the provoker.
You do.
I
You're a
don't know
little
why.
rhyme there. Yeah.
I don't know why, but at the same time, it's like when I'm coaching, I used to have individuals. At first, I used to call, and I would call them, "How you doing?" And they used to love me for this because I wouldn't just be like, "Hey, how you doing today?" "Oh, I'm good." "Okay, I'll call you next week to see how you doing," or "I'll call you tomorrow to see how you doing." It would be like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." "Well, give me 5 things that make it good." Right? I want to know stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know stuff, right? I'm not here just to be like, you good? All right, then yeah, okay. I'm here to push these buttons and be like, yeah, you good? But if I see something that's not good, then boop,
Hmm.
right? To see what
Great.
I can get out of that. And there's
Hmm.
nothing to be like negative, right? It's just I know, you say, I believe in you, right? And you said it to me, right?
Hmm.
And I felt it, and I really believed it, right?
Hmm.
And it's like when you tell somebody that, you give them the motivation, right? Oh,
Hmm.
I know you got it in you. I know you
Hmm.
have it in you, right? So here's a button push to see what I can move, and if I can move anything, right? But if I don't, you be like that. Enough times I've seen people do TRS calls when I volunteered, and they will call people and be like, "How you doing today?" "Great, great, yeah. I'll call you next week." It's like, that's not coaching. That's just
No.
asking somebody, "How you doing?" And okay, bye.
Yeah, TRS stands for Telephone Recovery Support. They've been running that program at CCAR for quite a while now, 20
Yeah,
years maybe even, yeah. We call people and check in on their recovery. Thank you for that, Michael.
welcome.
I think the best coaches do have a bit of provocateur in them, that you are not, and I'll go to the greatest compliment a coach can receive is, "That's a great question." It's not like, you saved my life or you gave me the perfect resource or did anything. The greatest compliment you can receive is, "That's a great question." And they don't even have to have the answer right then or there. They give you time, and that means you've provoked them, to use Michael's term, in a very positive way. That you got them thinking about something in a way they hadn't thought about it before. And that's the role of a coach more than anything, It's not about you, about getting them to submit to your way of recovery or to do what you tell them to do. It's just to get them to think about things in a new way. Whether they follow that way or not is their decision. Whether they return to use or not, it's their decision. Whether they maintain recovery and pursue a life of happiness and joy and all the things that recovery can bring, that's their choice. It's not yours. You can just ask questions along the way to guide them, to get them to think about it. Um, to me, when we do that as coaches, it's a lot easier and it's a lot more freeing that the burden is not on me. Art always said, be open to the outcome, but not attached to it. So you're just open to whatever this person chooses, and you support them and care for them no matter what their choice. It's not that. Um, but I think if you're asking the right questions and they can detect that you believe in them, that you're encouraging them, that you're affirming them, that most of your outcomes would be on the positive side. That they would pursue a life of, uh, and when it gets too much, that's the time to refer out. If you can get them to admit that they have deep-seated emotional issues or something, well, who can you see about that? It's not me, the coach, but how can you pursue your recovery that way? Who can you see about that? We're just here to guide them along their pathway. Any final thoughts from anybody? All right, so we'll wrap this one up a few minutes early. Thank you for participating. I certainly appreciate it. Um, I think when we talk about buttons, I think the key point again, just to emphasize it, when we're working with a recovery, well, the first point is be aware of our own stuff, manage that, discover and manage our own emotional responses and make sure they're appropriate for the situation. And the second one is pay attention to what has heart and meaning for the recovery and push on that button, that push on the one that's positive and that they get enthusiastic about and want to pursue. That's the pathway we help guide them down and encourage them to take. Thank you guys. I hope you have a sparkling rest of your day.
Thank you,
Good to see
Phil.
you all.
Thank you, everyone.